If you're new to OBS, you are probably still looking for some interesting ways to liven up your scenes, and one of the fastest and best ways to do that is to use the color source. It is a really quick way to just add some color into your scenes. If you have a brand color or a theme that you're trying to match, you can use the color source to create some interesting backgrounds and even create your own overlays. If that's not enough, I will also show you how you can add a plugin into OBS to give yourself the option for a gradient color source where you can have more than one color blending together on a background. If that's not enough, stick around to the very end of this video and I will show you how you can add some visual effects to that gradient source to make your streams pop out even more. Before I get started with today's video, here at the Beardo Streams, I am trying to help you out. I want to make your live streams better, and I want to do what I can and use the skills that I've gained over the past few years to help you develop as well. Now, if that sounds great, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, leave a like for the video, and as we're going along, if you have any questions, comments, or anything, just leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Now, let's get on with it. So, when you start, we're going to add a new source and click a color source. And let's give it a name. We'll say red. When you name your color source, the first thing that's going to come up is a window prompting you to pick a color and the width and height of the color source. It's going to show the hex code for your selected color in the box right below the preview window, and then whatever size. So if I did make this, say, 1080 by 1080 instead, it's going to make it into a square that we see on that window. So whatever color we pick is in there. So if we click on select color, you're going to be brought to a standard selection screen, and you can pick a color from the swatch on the left or from the palette on the right. You can adjust manually the RGB color settings, as well as alpha channel transparency. You can adjust with the slider here the white balance value, or you can adjust that in manually down here, as well as adjusting manually the hue and saturation. So if you know the numerical values for a color that you want, you can type them in manually. You can find the color in the color swatch, or if you have a hex code and HTML code, you can enter it in down at the bottom as well. So if I type pound FF FEEE and hit OK, it's going to come up with that kind of off-white color. Or I can slide it up and just make it solid red. If you have a logo or image and you want to match the color, you can do it through here. If you want to save that color, you can do that by just adding to custom colors. If you don't know the specific color that you need to use and you have a picture of it, you can go pick a screen color. So I could go down here and, make it black instead of red, or go back to red. And then when I click OK, it'll change it to that color. So then when you go back out, that's your color source. Click OK, and there you go. You can resize it, the same way you would with anything else. Make it bigger, make it smaller. And you can use these, you can add multiple color sources and put them together to make an overlay, or to, like I said, just have colors that match your brand or your logo. But one color on its own might not be that exciting. So we're going to go to the OBS website. We're going to click Forum. We're going to find a plugin. Click Resources and click Search Resources. So do a search for Gradient and search. You find this one here, Gradient Source, and we're going to download the Windows installer if you're using Windows, or you can download one for whichever operating system. Once it's downloaded, open the zip file, run the installer, and assuming that you installed OBS in the default directory, just click through and it'll install that. Once we're back into OBS, now if we go back to Add Sources, we can add a gradient source. And that wasn't available before we installed the plugin. So we'll just click New Gradient. And now it comes up with a gradient. It's going to be fitting the full window. We can select two colors and adjust their opacity. So if I lower this down, you're going to see that the red starts to shine through a little bit. So if we select our colors, let's pick two very opposite colors, yellow and blue. Oh. So we pick two opposite colors, and you have a few more options. You can you can set it to sRGB mode, which is just going to affect how the computer interprets the colors and displays them for you. So you can adjust your rotation, and that's going to change what sides the colors are coming in from. You can adjust the midpoint, so that's going to change how much of one color or another there is. And of course, you can adjust the height and width of the window. So that's the gradient source. You can use this to make a color source a little bit more lively. You can add it to a background or as part of an overlay, and it'll look a lot nicer than just one solid color. But if you want to take this even one step further, let's go back to that OBS page. And we'll search resources one more time, and we're going to search for Shader. If you find one that's called OBS Shaderfilter, click that, go to download, and it's just going to come up with a Windows installer. So I'm not sure what to tell you if you're using Mac or Linux in this particular case, but if you're on Windows, just download the zip file. And you just want to extract it to your program files directory. Unless you installed OBS somewhere else, this is where you want to extract the plugin. So just click extract. Once you are back in OBS, you can go and take a look at your source. So the plugin we installed allows us to add a special type of filter to a source. So if we just click filters for our gradient and we add a filter, we're going to see user-defined shader at the bottom. We're going to click that, click OK. Now, I must warn you that this is an older plugin and it can be a little bit unreliable, so you have to play around with it. Some plugins are going to work better than others for you, and if something crashes your system, reload OBS, and it's going to reload it without that filter active, so that's not going to just constantly crash your system, but you might have some that just might not work on your system. So for this example, I'm going to click Load Shader from Text File. The plugin comes with a bunch of shaders. You can also design your own. We'll look for one like RGB Color Wheel. So that's adding a rotating color wheel. And you know what? We could honestly just use this on its own to make some kind of cool animated background. But we're going to apply it to the image. If we click into our alpha percentage, lower it from 100 to 50. So that way it's only half, so it's got half transparency. And for now, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to change anything else, but we close that. So you can see our gradient colors are behind it, but there's also this RGB color wheel going over top of it. So if I wanted to do something like let's pretend for a second if this red color source were our webcam and we put it into the middle. We can go to scene 2, add a scene, and we'll add scene 1 as the scene. So now we've got this, and if we go and shrink this down, so now for example we've got, so you could use this like an animated webcam frame, and you don't need to use any special software. You're doing this right in OBS. You just have to install a couple plugins and play around a little bit. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it helpful, again, please subscribe to the video, like the video, comment, and tell me what you thought. What advice did I give you in this video that was the most helpful? What did you learn today? Tell me about that. Let me know what you'd like to see me cover in future videos as well. This has been it for me today. I am Roman with the Beardo Computes. I am so thankful that you came to watch this video and check out some of my other stuff, and we will see you next time.